actor to come in and feel like they're beneath us or above us, because that's a recipe for disaster.
When you go on all these auditions, especially network auditions, and you don't hear back. Like, I texted Chris one day and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this no more. Yeah. Chris was like, you know you're not.
Welcome everybody to episode 9 of 1000 Failures. I'm your host, Darius Marcelin, and this is Becoming an Actor. Now, this podcast isn't only for actors, it's also for creatives, entrepreneurs, and just people looking to get out of their normal comfort zone and their bubble and to just go after whatever their dreams are. Today's episode, I have Chris Giovanni from CGEM Talent. He's the owner of this talent management company. He's coming on here to talk about what it's like managing talent, what his day-to-day job is like, what's the difference between an agent and a talent manager here in Hollywood, and why his agency and what his style is a lot different from the other 1,000 talent managers they have here in LA. He brought on Donnie Payne with him, who is one of the talent he represents. And Donnie is relatively new in Los Angeles and new to the industry. So I asked Chris a couple of questions on what it's like, you know, starting up with a new talent and bringing him to the level where he's at, where Donnie recently got a role in a Lifetime movie. So Chris is going to show the journey of an actor coming to Los Angeles without an agent or manager, and just growing with a talent manager to see what your career could be shaped like. And within the message of this podcast episode, there's a lot of times that confidence keeps coming up. And Chris interviews many actors about representation day to day. And the actors that, in his eyes, showed the most confidence walk into his office knowing what they could bring to the table, not thinking that they are better than everyone else, but knowing what they could bring to the table that's unique, are the ones he generally types to sign, even if they don't have a lot of credits or anything like that. So you may not have confidence every single time in every single facet of your life, but the times when you do need it, you need to be able to switch it on. So hopefully this episode you will learn about building your confidence, knowing when to switch it on. So whether you are stepping into an audition room, performing in front of live people, or just the confidence to start your own business or take different risks, hopefully this episode will give you the confidence you need and show you how important confidence is in your character and just going after your dreams. So enjoy this episode. In the end of this episode, Chris gives a few tips for actors on how to audition, how to just get into a room with an agent or manager and make them really believe that you could do the job. So if you are listening to this episode right now, I would love if you could screenshot it, tag me on Instagram story, or just even give me a rating or review on the podcast app. That helps me tremendously. So enjoy this episode. Build up your confidence. Let's do this. Go after our dreams. Episode 9, 1000 Failures. Chris, good to have you on the show. Donnie, what's up, my man?
Pleasure to be here.
So 1000 Failures, this show is about creatives, entrepreneurs, and creatives coming on here and just telling their story and making failure something that's not scary, but it's actually normal in our process.
Okay.
Chris, you actually are the CEO of your talent management company.
Absolutely.
Chris is an artist as well as a gym trainer.
Yes. I'm signed with Chris.
And he's signed with Chris. So this is the first time we have 2 guests on the show, so this one should be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I always say entrepreneurship always takes you to different levels and you experience something new every day.
What different levels has it taken you on?
Just being able to discover talent. You know, you find new people every day, and just being able to develop them from a co-star level to a recurring guest star to eventually a series regular, you know, it's very fulfilling for a manager. So I think it's it's one of the things that I think I wake up every day and I'm like, you're changing people's lives.
Right.
So it's great.
So for you, what age did you get into starting managing talent, and how was your process?
It actually started when I was 19.
Wow.
I used super young.
Right.
I used to have a bunch of friends, and so what I would do is I would put them together. I would say like, hey, I know a photographer, I know a model. You guys can work together, and I would make like 15, 20 bucks, something small. And then eventually I was like, this can turn into a business. And so I started expanding connections. I started calling different companies, trying to build my brand. And eventually it started off with reality stars, and it went to actors and models. And so now it's just like we represent like a mix of everyone.
So it went from you just like basically hustling, putting people together, earning extra income, and then it grew into something like that?
Yes, exactly. I mean, $20 turned into 120, and then another zero added on it, and then I was like, okay, we're in business. So, and it's just expanded so much.
What part of that business model drew you in deeper? Was it seeing the check? So it was for you, it was like seeing it as well as what?
I think it was really just being able to find someone and take them from someone who just doesn't have any experience, has an interest in television and film, and be able to say, okay, they're actually on set of this show I used to watch for years, or work with this casting director or this producer, I've seen their work. And it's just like, it becomes like an adrenaline rush, you get your clients together. Of course, the money's great, but being able to see them go from a level of just, short films and stuff to actual network television is the most fulfilling thing to me.
Right. What level, Donnie, do you think you're on Chris's spectrum of growing?
I think I'm on a very high level, because one of the things that I think the best thing Chris does is he's really good at finding potential. Right. He's really good at picking up people and developing them. So he gets people with no network credits on the national television shows. Right. So one of the things he says in his blog is he knows if someone's a star the first 15 seconds of me. Is that what you said? Was it 15 or was it 10 or 5?
That's always been my thing. Like, I know within the first few seconds of meeting someone is if they're going to be a star or not.
What's a star?
A star is mainly just someone, that can go into a room and all eyes are on them. When I do interviews and I select people, it's really within the energy they bring to the table. So if it's for instance, they come in, they know their goals, they know what shows they want to be on, and then they exude a certain amount of confidence. That tells me that if I send them into a room with a notable casting director, they're going to deliver results. And so really, as a manager, you start off and you don't really know that. You just know that people are passionate and you bring a bunch of people on. But it really takes years of fine-tuning to know exactly who's going to be in this business for a long time, who's hungry for it, who's going to wake up on day 36 and say, I'm still ready to do this. Right. So, I think it's just mainly just being able to know who's passionate about it.
And Chris, you're from California?
From LA.
Where in LA?
Mid-City. Born and raised.
Oh, wow, you're a city guy. Donnie, where are you from?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's a small little town.
Right. I think I've been over to Pittsburgh one time, back in my soccer days.
It's really fun. I'll say that one
here. And what brought you over to LA?
Just entertainment. I wanted something bigger because small town. There's not a lot going on, and here, in a big city, out here, everyone's here to follow their dreams. So there's a lot of opportunity out here, and what just drew me and kept me was the opportunities, and everybody out here has a dream. So it's can't really hate it if everybody's out here pursuing something.
But for a lot of people, I guess the majority of people who are in the city right now are not from LA.
No, you're not.
You're rare. You're probably one of the 5 people I've met
I know,
who's from LA.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But a lot of people have your story, and a lot of people quit.
A lot of people do, because it's easy to get discouraged. You're competing with thousands of people.
What's discouraging for you?
Nothing. I mean, I feel like that's why I'm still here, because this is why it's called 1,000 failures.
Right.
You have to get used to no's. So every time I get a no, I don't say oh, nah, I can't do it. No, just work harder. Right. You got to work harder. You know what I'm saying? So it's when I first came out here, I came out here to get signed, and it didn't happen. Right. So in my head, I was I could have just maybe this is not right. I can quit. Right. But I was no, I'm just going to work harder and get signed. I got signed. And then next thing I know, I met Chris a few years later. And I'm just
When did you move to LA?
About 2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
When did you meet Chris?
I met Chris about 7 months ago. I met him July 2017, I believe so. Yeah.
And from day one, like how was your journey with Chris? You know, like
Day one,
Chris?
it was surprising because it was like I didn't know what Chris was capable of in terms of getting me network auditions. Because as you know, if you're just here from scratch, it's really hard to get network auditions.
Right.
It's really hard to get self tapes. And Chris, like from the week one, I was getting so many self tapes. I was like, it's overwhelming as a new actor because I went from never getting a self tape to now having 2 self tapes a week.
So Chris, what do you? I'm sure that I could go online right now. I could go on IMDb Pro and I could find 1,500 to 5,000 managers, people who call themselves managers in Los Angeles. And everyone's pitching for those auditions. What for you? Like, what's your X factor if everyone had to say, "Oh, this is you know when you go to bed at night, this is how I get my clients in." Like, what do you think?
I'm probably gonna piss some casting directors
Piss them off
with this one. I'm aggressive, like they say. Like with pitching, first of all, I have to know the client is right for the role. Like if I know 100% that they're right for it, I'm going to draft a nice pitch email and I'm going to call. As you know, casting directors are inundated with so many different pitches, and so I have to kind of strategize.
Right.
Like for instance, we tell my cheats. A lot of my pitches are scheduled the night before for 9 a.m. So, of course, if I know something came out and, I have a staff of 3 to 4 and, it's no way we're going to be able to hit all those projects.
Right.
I schedule them so that way it's hitting each casting office in the morning at 9 o'clock. So that way, as soon as they get in, they have their Starbucks.
Actors, you hear that? This is Chris's cheat sheet.
That's my cheat sheet. They have the fresh pitch on their on their desk, and it's just really you have to think like a business, think like a casting director. When they come into the office, they're going to look at what's on the top of their emails.
Right.
Maybe they leave and maybe they're finished with their emails. Try to get it at the end of the evening so that way they can see it. So. I think just to circle back to your question about what would make, me passionate along with other managers is just to have the clients that are going to do a great job in the room. It's just our job to make sure to get in it to begin with. So,
right. Yeah, well, you send your pitches in at 9 a.m.
Yes.
You grab maybe a Starbucks, a breakfast. You guys talk in your office. But what's the day like at CGEM?
Well, usually I start off by, of course, talking to Sade.
Okay. Shout out to Sade.
Sade's been with me for 3 years, holding it down. Basically, we strategize. Like, we look at the projects that came out before, and then we discuss which potential clients are great for it. Of course, we submit them, but we divide the list to say, like, okay, for instance, Donnie might be perfect for this one, so we're going to call this office to kind of get an appointment for them. Or if I know sessions are already happening for that role, then I will solicit for a self-tape. So that way they can at least be considered. Because a lot of casting is on tape these days.
Right.
They're going in, they're on tape for the producers. So if it's a great tape, great quality, that tape gets included with the other auditions that came in.
Right.
So after we discuss that, we send our pitches, usually the day after. We basically just strategize for the day. We talk about new clients, we did interviews, we see, we do projections, of course, see how money is going, and then we just, we get to work. Breakdown start at 10.
So how many breakdowns? All right, today is Tuesday on a Monday. I bet Mondays might have the most breakdowns, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, this week, it's kind of slow because it's the holiday, so it's expected. But usually Mondays are pretty intense, simply because all the breakdowns that were accumulated from the weekend are usually released at 10 p.m. It varies. Like right now, it's a slow period. A lot of productions are on break, and they will start maybe at the end of this month, early August for episodic season. So if we're doing a busy season, we can possibly see upwards of almost 45 to 60 breakdowns a day. Right. And of course, a lot of them will have like 30 roles. And so we have to kind of strategize, like, Sade, you take the first 10. My other staff, they'll take the other 15, I'll take 30, and then we just kind of bounce back and forth so that we can cover it. So
yeah, so that's your breakdown you get the breakdowns and you guys break it into different actors and stuff. While this is going on, do you have any contact with the actors? Like you say, like, oh, this is coming, like, you should prepare for this, or it's just so much going on?
If I get a promise appointment from a casting director, like they say, hey, Chris, such and such is going to come in on Tuesday. We'll send a notice for the client. It's called a TBD notice to let them know to be ready. And it might include the sides, it might not, but at least they'll see the description of the role. Also, I might contact them, say if the role requires them to speak Spanish or something, and I need to know their fluency. I'll contact them like, hey, how well can you speak Spanish? Because the sites might be in all Espanol. So if they can do that, of course, I'm going to continue on the pitch. If not, then no. Or if I get a script and so I might see something suggestive, and I'm going to contact them and say, hey, can you do this? So
how many clients do you have on your roster on average, like in the LA roster?
We have I have personally 44.
Right.
And then I have.
That seems manageable, even though it's a lot. But
it's very manageable. Because some actors are like my established actors, they don't really require a lot. Simply because a lot of the stuff comes directly to them or to me to handle. Or if I just submit them, they immediately get a C-mail.
Right.
My developmental actors, which I'm kind of tuning down on, really not that hard. We just get them co-stars and stuff, get their feet wet, and then as soon as they are comfortable, then we escalate it to one day guest recurrings and stuff.
So if I was a Donnie coming to Los Angeles and I don't have representation, well, Donnie, for you, since you're right here, what was your process in finding representation, a manager, some in some cases agents? How tough was that journey? Because right now there are thousands of actors struggling on that journey. How hard was it for you? And then what advice would you give?
Okay, so I think it was very difficult from the start, but now I know what I'm doing. It's easy, necessarily easy. So basically at the beginning, it's just when you're a fish in the water and you just get in here, you don't know where to go, you don't know who to ask, and you're just asking random people for a manager. It's kind of ridiculous. But one tip I will give is looking on Actors Access, IMDb Pro. Everyone just get on that website, and I started looking at other people's managers. From looking at other people's managers, you can directly contact.
Switch your camera up. Yeah.
You can directly contact managers, and basically all it is providing value. So once you get in front of a manager and they see how much value you provide to them, they can be inclined to sign you.
Right.
So I think the main thing is just figuring out where these managers are, what these managers do, what they're looking for, what your genre is, and then filling in that gap. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of have to know where to find the managers. Absolutely. And Chris is, of course, on what manager isn't on IMDb? There's not one successful manager who's not on IMDb.
Yeah.
So it is pretty expensive. Like that's why I feel like it's worth it.
How much is IMDb?
It depends on if you do an annual membership or a month to month, but I believe a month to month is about $20.
That's
so that
like,
can add up.
That's like two meals. You just cut back on two meals a month.
Yeah, it's not.
And you're good.
Cut back on sweet greens.
Cut back on sweet greens. Yeah. All right, so you found Chris, you reached out to him, and what was your profile or acting profile looking like at that time?
It wasn't a lot. I just had done commercials, I had done SAG commercials and print jobs. But I feel like one of the best talents of a manager is to find like, oh, I can develop this person.
Right.
So that's what the meeting face-to-face was. It was just like I had 2 weeks to prepare for the meeting.
Right.
I prepared for the meeting, got all my material, got all my headshots. And then based on Chris's, discretion, should we sign him or should we not?
Right.
So you kind of, everything you have as an actor, bring that to the meeting, provide value. Provide value because it's like they want to see money. They want to see, you can provide value, but if they don't see them making money, at the end of the day, it's just money.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to make money?
And we spoke on an earlier episode in the podcast, and it was just talking about this is all a business. You know, it's not anything to take personal. If I don't get a meeting, doesn't mean I'm a bad actor.
Exactly.
But Chris may have a guy that looks exactly like you.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I mean, a lot of the times, because I can't explain this, like if an agent or manager passes, it's usually three things. One is because we have a similar look, of course, like you said. And we don't want to jeopardize when someone else might have an open spot for you. So we want you to get the best attention, of course. And two, if it just doesn't feel right, like I said from the interview process, like this is huge. An actor is putting their career in my hands, their life. Right. So if I don't feel like I can really develop them and give them the best, I give them my all, then I'm doing them a disservice as well as myself. And then third, which I hear this a lot, is that I'm getting work on my own. That's great. We like to hear that. But, for instance, if you say you got a co-star and it's at scale, which is $980, and then a manager might see 10 to 15%, generally 10%, that's $90. What are we getting with that? That's me a target every day.
Right.
But if you say like, hey, I'm taking the necessary steps to get credits to build my footage, that has value. Right. So I'm not thinking of you just got a co-star. I'm thinking about what do you have on your reel that's going to help me to get you $1,000 more dollars than that $90.
It's more than an active value and puts more value into that co-star role as opposed to the attitude itself, because you can't really buy that attitude, because there are actors in this game for like 10 years who hasn't gotten their break. So if you could get for 10 years you get co-stars, doesn't bring much monetary value, but I guess for a manager it's more of the potential.
It's the relationships. Agents and managers go through the same thing as actors, because in the beginning you have to prove to these casting offices, these producers, these distributors, these networks, why are your actors the preferred choice for these roles. And so before, you start to get on your feet and you're submitting and you're pitching, a lot of casting offices are like, okay, let's see what he can do. Let's see if his actors are worthy of coming in. And it's a lot of, maybe you're going to take 1 or 2 bookings for our casting office to trust you. So that's why we're a little bit more selective, because we want someone that's going to go in there and not only, bring home the bag, but also have a great impression, so that way we can continuously submit them to that office. There's certain actors that I have that I know they're a fan of a certain office that literally all I have to do is submit, and then they get a CD select, which is when they want to see immediately. So imagine having that across 30 different offices, that relationship as an actor, you're set.
Yeah. So there's some people, I guess, trying to follow their dream as actors and musicians, everything, artists. Then there are some people who are also moving to Los Angeles out of Pittsburgh's and small towns to be entrepreneurs. They might get a job as a waitress or whatever, but they still want to get into the entertainment industry. And Chris, you started your, I would say, the grind and the hustle from the ground up. That journey, I bet you made a lot of mistakes, just like that. I had a lot of businesses as well and made mistakes and grew it up. But in this industry, like, what are some of your joys as running your own talent management company here in Los Angeles? And what was the struggles like too as well?
Okay. Well, I'll start with the joys.
The joys.
The joys of being a manager and running your own company is not only do I have the executive control, I sign all the contracts, the paychecks, everything. I'm able to give someone a shot. A lot of times, like I said, like he mentioned earlier, you don't have access to those network shows, those feature films. They're distributed only to agents and managers. Right. So being able to take someone that's, been used to going on shorts and indies and getting the UOB 125 to someone getting, $5,000 per episode, that's really, that's a big lift. They could do a lot with that money and invest to get a publicist and get whatever they need. So that's always a joy to see someone go from literally, on the grind, getting as many ULB projects as they can, to starring on network shows and getting some feature film credits and really building their resume. Struggle. The biggest struggle that I've ever gone through, of course, was being young in this industry, because, I hate to say it, but a lot of managers and agents are mature, and they've been in this business for 30, 40, 50 years. Wow. So, you got to kind of prove, okay, this 27-year-old, why am I going to trust his suggestions when I've been taking, Bob at major agencies suggestions for over 20 years and I've made tons of money. So it's all literally about just, the relationship value and just proving yourself. And even if they don't believe in you, you just got to do it.
And how do you, as a manager, just build your relationships? How do you go to events, red carpet events? Do you go to screenings? Like what do you do personally?
A mix, events, screenings. A lot of the relationships come directly from, I hate to say this, but just scouring emails and saying, hey, I want to take you to lunch. I've heard great things about you. And also, indirectly, we build relationships by getting auditions for our clients. Because if they bring in someone that just knocks it out of the park, they're more inclined to say, okay, I like Chris's office. He brings in good people. Right. Let's see who else he has. They might scour through our list and bring in more people. So it's really just a mix of just that every day and just, calling an office and saying, hey, I have someone to pitch, and eventually your name starts to go around. They hear it often. They know your voice, and then it becomes easier. Right.
And for actors, they're always we come from out of town in LA and we're here. We think we should get an agent. That's the first thing that we hear first. Even in our classes or whatever, we don't really say, oh, I need to get a manager first. So this is how Chris and I found out, because I found out from a friend you should get a manager, and Chris represented me first. And what he did for me was, I would say you can't put a value to it. He helped me, change my profile more towards a California style, whereas it was more New York theatrical, theater-based, and more stage and live and loud and dramatic. And it went from that to more commercialized. And for me, then I started booking commercials, and I book a lot of commercials now, and I never did commercials in New York, so a manager, I would say, would help direct your career. What would you think your profile was like then to now?
I think it was non-existent because he has so much experience in the industry, so he knows he's been doing this for almost a decade, pretty much.
So he make you sound like you're 50 years old.
But he's one of the youngest talent managers in the world.
I mean, of course, an actor is going to go in there and have a profile that's not together. I mean, I don't think it's only been a few actors that I've received where I was like, oh, their profile is perfect. They can just go ahead.
New actors.
Yeah, new actors.
All right, cool.
But a lot of it, like I said, it's never too bad. They might have one photo on there and list names, but it's easy. Review is you adapt very easily.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm quick to adapt and figure stuff out fast. So we all have Google, but then a lot of actors I see will just wait to get advice from people rather than, all right, I'll Google. As you said, you went to look at which manager, which actors were what they were represented by. I did the exact same thing. I looked at actors that, all right, well, obviously not the A-list ones, but maybe a C-list actor. He kind of looks like me. Who's his rep? And then sometimes you see the same people come up, Then you start doing pitches. So this is me moving out to LA. I did pitches. I did about it was bad. I did a lot of pitches, right? And Chris was one of the few people that wrote back, but my initial pitches were really bad. Then they started to get a little bit better. So I failed doing it the first few times. Learn, all right, this wouldn't sound too good if I was sitting in an office and I read this first thing. What would I like to hear if I was Chris coming into my office? What were the things I wanted to say? And it came from a true place for me.
Exactly.
So Chris, for you come into your office.
Okay.
Donnie from Pittsburgh writes to you. What are the do's? I don't want to talk about the don'ts because it's it's all over the internet. Yeah. But for you, what are your do's to hear? As in somebody I could take in who's green. Yeah.
I mean, first, like I said, it's when they walk in the room, there's a confidence someone has. So it's if you walk in and it's level, I always say, I don't like an actor to come in and feel like they're beneath us or above us. Because that's recipe for disaster. So if you go in and you sit down and you know your goals and you know exactly what you want from a manager, You know what the difference between a manager and an agent is. That's huge. And that you know what shows you're watching television, you listen to music, and you know what's current. I think those are all positives, because it tells me that I can have a effective communication with you, and you're going to accomplish things. Yeah. And also having a list of questions, because that's always huge for me. I like to have an exchange and dialogue. So you're signing a contract, which my contracts are like maybe 12 pages, 13. And it's for a period of time that you're putting your career in someone else's hands. So I would expect you to have a good 6 to 8 to 10 questions about the contract, management, me personally, because your career is in my hands. Right. So just really going in and then, having a firm, disposition about who you are as an actor and what you're trying to accomplish is huge for me.
Right. I'm on the side of the actors right now, and I'll be honest with you. When you get to an agent or manager and you're from a small town, it's your first meeting, you are intimidated because I don't know why it is, but it's maybe we talk about it a lot as actors in like classes and stuff, and people who don't have agents. Yeah. But you just get intimidated, and I have confidence now because I know my value. But at first, when you don't have a booking, you don't have that confidence because you don't really know your value, So I could see where a lot of actors struggle with that. But you're right. I know it's going to separate with the confidence.
Yeah, I mean, because you're not going to be the best actor ever. Right. It's never going to happen. But if you go into it knowing, okay, I have at least some skills that are better than actors currently, and then there's some actors that, I maybe haven't, met them on a resume that they had, but you know that you're going to provide value, you're going to be fine. I mean, that's the same thing for us managers. Like, we compete with a lot of companies here. Like, every day, there's I feel like a new manager comes in, and so I get wind of them, but I'm not like, oh, damn. It's like there's so many different managers. I'm like, okay, so what can I do for CGEM today? Maybe I might do a promo where I get on live, and I say, hey, I'm going to allow 8 people come on there. And I just innovate, think of new ideas to stay fresh.
Not to interject, but I think I advise any actors coming into town to be careful of, we're in your acting class, everybody's in the acting studios, and you hear people saying, well, my agent got me this audition, and I'm meeting with this, and it's a lot of talk, Chris was just talking about him basically putting on blinders, and acting classes, for me, is a very dangerous place because the most important thing an entrepreneur, creative artist, anybody should have is their mind. And when actors aren't going out on auditions or you don't have an agent, it gets very disheartening for you. Yes. And I know every single actor has felt that when you're in a class and someone says, yeah, well, I just went out for this. And you're just there and you're like, no, I didn't go out anything, like 3 months or a year, and you have to battle with that, put your blinders on, and just know your goal and your lane, Exactly. I mean, have you ever felt that in a class?
I think the main thing, like Chris said, you guys were speaking before, is self-confidence of what you can be. You can't think about what everybody else is. You got to think about where your path is. Right. And you try to line your path with other people, that's never going to happen. It's even like what Samuel Jackson got his first acting role at 50, or Morgan Freeman, someone like that. Everybody's a different path.
I mean, Bryan Cranston, he's 30 years acting.
Exactly.
But I think also, in an acting class, if you see, a lot of people think or judge their career based off of what other people are doing. So a lot of times, those roles that say your acting mate may have gotten, it could have been as simple as that kid has freckles.
Tell them, give me more examples.
It's very strict with, look, I had a kid that I sent on audition, and it was just that he wasn't as tall as his other kids.
See?
And so that's why I say, don't judge based off of what others are getting, because it could be as small as the hair color on something.
Right.
I think another huge analogy is kind of going to the gym. And you're at the gym and you see somebody putting up 350, but it's your first time at the gym. You can't be like, oh, he's benching 350, I'm going to leave. You know what I'm saying? That's
not only that. Yeah, that's true. But also his goals may be different from your goals.
Exactly.
So for me, when I go to the gym, I try to be lean. I don't lift very heavy.
Yeah.
I do a lot of reps to get more cut.
Yeah.
But if I look at somebody who's lifting more, I can't look at him and say he's better than me.
Exactly.
And I think that comparison is very dangerous for actors in Hollywood because this town is big, it's overwhelming, and you're away from home. You need every bit of confidence that you have inside of you to make it. And a lot of people don't make it, not because they're not talented, just because they give up.
Yes, exactly.
And those things make you give up. So no matter where you are, you listen to this, like just in your acting class, put your headphones on. I like, honestly, I get away from everyone and I just like focus on myself, focus on my craft, and I go home. But I don't have those conversations about what my manager got, what I booked.
Yeah.
Because my friends who are actually working actors, who are on feature films, who are on TV, never have those conversations with me.
Yeah.
It's always people who are in the struggle, in the gutter.
Yeah. I mean, also, giving props when they're due. I mean, I work with, or I know a lot of managers from Luber Rockland, all of them.
Right.
And, I see their bookings and what they get. And, I always congratulate. Like, I get one, I'll just say, hey, congratulations on that. And then if I get one, they congratulate me.
That's nice.
And that energy kind of sets the mood or the tone for your career. Because you can be happy for someone. And when your happiness comes, then everyone's supportive. So
that's actually, that's a good way to like deal with that.
Exactly.
Well, like we're all trying to like, we're on the same page and we're all trying to like, there's a million jobs out there. We're all, our jobs are going to come.
Exactly.
So why not pick each other up? And that's pretty dope. But the managers do that.
Oh, yeah, man. We're very supportive. Because like I said, we could be competing against each other at tests with networks. And if we don't get the role, of course, but I'm still going to congratulate my friend on getting that. At least my friend got it versus someone I didn't know. So.
And do managers beef with agents like for like roles or like is there like an underlying what's like a gossip?
I've always felt like
on what Avenue of the Stars.
I don't believe it's a beef. I feel like it's kind of an ego thing, which I'm not gonna say every agent because I work with a lot of great agents in town, and they're they love that a manager pushes as many appointments as they do.
Okay.
There have been a certain few agents that have been like, hey, if you are submitting, can you stop? And I have always said no because I'm not putting my money or my opportunity in someone else's hands, especially if I'm paying for breakdowns every month. I'm submitting everyone on my roster. So, no, I mean, like I said, it's a certain few that have that kind of that ego because they want to be the one that sends out the appointments. Me personally, I don't care. It can come from a goat. I just want to know that you're going to be at that audition, you're going to book it, and then we're going to make some money.
Right. In terms of actors, you talk about booking. In terms of actors and booking, I mean, this is a 1 in a million. When actors go out there, it's a 1 in a million stroke of lightning. Like, as you say, it could be a freckle on your face.
Yeah.
I went out for a job and nearly auditioned, nearly called back, and then when I looked on TV, it was a white guy who was 22 years old and like a surfer dude, looked nothing like me. So, I mean, I didn't take it to heart. But for actors, what do you think for the ones that book on your roster, what are their like X factors? Like what are that thing that they do a little bit different than everybody else?
There's two things. I have actors that will read sides and they would bring something new to it. Because a lot of people get sides and they'll read it and they miss a lot of the action cues that really bring it to life. So they're going to go in, they're going to read da-da-da-da-da-da, walk out. But I have certain actors that will go in and then they'll deliver action, they'll shake their hair, they'll do anything to really stand out. They coordinate their outfits. So it's not just, blue jeans, blue shirt, like everyone else is submitting. So that's one thing that's very huge. The second, like I said, I don't expect anyone to get everything. That's not how this town works. But if you can at least get to a callback or a pin, that shows me that you're doing enough or you're doing a great enough job for being on my roster, and also that you are close to booking. So, a lot of people think that managers and agents drop people because they don't make money. No. I like to keep people, and even I've had some people that have been on my roster and they haven't booked a lot. They maybe booked maybe one or two things. Someone that hasn't booked anything. But it's just the passion and the fact that they're getting in their car every day to go to these
That's
auditions.
good to hear.
Volumes.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Now, if you canceled auditions all the time and you weren't going, then that's a different story. But if you're actually getting in your car and going to Glendale and Danville and all this Kim Coleman down the street, and at 5 o'clock you got another one, and you're making all of those, that shows me that you have potential in this industry.
Right. So for you, it's a mixture of paying the bills, and then seeing that vision in an actor, and then I guess from talking to you here, the passion you have for seeing a career grow.
Yeah, as long as you're showing me and my team as managers that you are doing your part, or you're at least attempting, we'll keep you for a long time. You just have to keep in communication with me as regarding your acting classes, your headshots and stuff, and then eventually, like I said, once you you demonstrate that to a manager that you're really working hard, then you'll be fine.
What do you think? You probably answered this a million times. What do you think an actor should get first moving to Los Angeles? An agent or manager?
Depending on where they're at with their career. There are some people that come from Atlanta. They have some good credits. They've been on some good shows. New York as well. And really, they just need someone to just add the cherry on top. If you're an actor that just came out here and you maybe have 2 short film credits, and an agent's probably not going to want to sign aboard real fast. So a manager would help to develop, so that way the agent is more inclined to take them on versus you just sitting here and waiting for someone to pick you up.
Do you help talent get agents? Or
yes. So what we do is I have a strategy. I like to call it the packaging segment, which is where we get the client headshots, training for a bit, get them a few credits, usually try to get them a few co-stars, maybe a one-day guest, and then we go ahead and refer them to an agent that we feel best fits them.
Right. So. And Donnie, do you have an agent yet?
No, I have 2 agents for commercial and print, but I don't have a theatrical agent right now. We're working on that, but one thing Chris did was he helped me get 2 IMDb credits, and that's huge because even the first credit I did with the director, he said he wanted to book me with a bigger role, but I didn't have enough credits. So that's another thing to actors, the credits matter. Because you can be the most talented, but they get nervous because you don't have 5-6 credits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like that's what a manager.
Was it for a feature film or like?
It was a Lifetime, so it was on Lifetime Network.
Cool.
And which, if you guys from the United States are familiar, because a lot of people don't know, it's a network television show, so it's pretty big. Some people,
Vivica Fox is actually producing it. So.
Yeah, Vivica Fox is huge too.
Shout out to Chris, man.
Yeah.
Getting them in the room.
Yeah. So it's a story. It was a push in the right direction. That's a push I needed, because sometimes when you go on all these auditions, especially network auditions, and you don't hear back. Like I texted Chris one day and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this no more. Yeah. Chris was like, "You bet, you're not."
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what you have your team for. Because we speak directly to the casting. Like, I won't plug on a co-star. Like, co-star is just, it could be as simple as a look. But if it's like a recurring guest or a series regular, we like to poke for feedback and say like, "Hey, how did this client do?" And they'll let us know. And if I think it's something severe, like they say something like, "Hey, it's kind of weak in the performance," then I'll go ahead and communicate that to the actor. But usually, like I said, it could be something as small as the network one, and someone a little bit taller and shorter. So I always say, don't think about it. Get in the room, do the audition, and just leave it in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Managers do the same thing. I mean, we send you auditions, and then by the time we send that, we're on to the next breakdown, because we have to keep that train going.
Right. Right. And for all the new actors coming into town, this is probably like a lot, but Donnie is just following Donnie's footsteps. He's getting his credits under his belt.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand how important credits were. Like when I got, like Chris was like, "Oh yeah, you need to get credits." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference between, that's one of the difference between a talent manager and an agent. That manager will push you towards getting those credits because that's the way that you're more marketable. Exactly. So, Chris, I mean, this is the 1000 Failure podcast. As artists, we're actors, musicians, business entrepreneurs. How do you deal with being in Los Angeles and there are so many things that don't go our way? You know, some big jobs you would want. I'm sure some of your clients had the jobs of their lives and you dealt with that disappointment. Did you ever sometimes feel like, this is a lot? What am I doing? I want that 9-to-5 job where it's under somebody else's control? Or you've always been like, yo, this is my company and I'm riding this ship?
Well, I've never gotten rid of my company. It's always been afloat. I always say that, you know, I'm very religious. God has blessed me. Usually after a project ends, something always comes back like that. So I've never felt like there's been some times where I've been working. I'm like, oh my God, like this is a lot. I'm swamped. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
I think for a manager and an agent, the most scariest process is, of course, the test. You know, when your client goes in for a network test for a role, and you know, it's kind of like you know, they give you the cupcake first. They say, this is how much you're going to get. This is how many options for the season. Your client's getting all this. They're getting a relocation fee, everything, you know, residuals. And you're like, oh, great. Now I have to get it. And there have been times where, you know, I've had clients get it. And there have been times where I've had clients not get it. It is basically like the cupcake gets snatched away from you. So I think, you know, and I tell all my actors that make it to test for series regulars is to just focus on doing your best in front of the network executives. Don't think about the deal. Don't think about anything else. Just give your best performance. And as managers, we got to kind of put it out of our head. Because when I first got my first test deal, I was ecstatic. I was, oh my God, this is so much money. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. I'm already thinking about that before it even came. And I didn't get it. So after I started, you know, taking test deals as they were and just say, okay, just put it into the air. We ended up getting 2. So, this season. So that's good.
So for you, just sticking with it, and Donnie, to you as well as an actor coming up, you're gonna go on 1,000 auditions.
Oh yeah, you're gonna
go on 1,000 auditions.
You gotta learn how to take an answer.
How did you switch your mindset of? I mean, for me, you got your first network audition that you didn't get, and you're like, always feeling back, checking your phone, like, I wonder if I got it, I wonder if I got it. Yeah. You know, and to the point where I leave my thing into the room, as in, I hit my marks. I set goals for myself when I get in. Yeah. Like, yesterday, I went into the room and I was like, I want to hit these marks. I want to not be intimidated by the casting director because it's like a well-known casting director. Exactly. And I did my thing and made eye contact, and I left there. I was so happy. Yeah. Whether I got it or not, that's left to be said. But for you, how did you switch your mindset of being that disappointed actor that didn't get the job to, you know what?
Yeah. One of the quotes that I really like is, when you expect nothing, you'll be prepared for anything. Okay. And basically that means is, I don't expect, and I know, I'm sure you know this, just being commercials, TV, everything, you're going to get callbacks. You're going to get avails. And sometimes you might even do the job and you might never see the full product. I can't tell you how many times I've done jobs and I've never seen the thing. So you know what I started thinking? I'm like, I'll be happy if they pay me. And I know they're probably going to pay me, so I just stopped expecting anything. So even if I was on TV tomorrow and I did the biggest show of my life, I don't even expect it to hit the whatever happens, happens. Right. So you got to stop expecting. Put your effort out there and stop expecting. Just let things happen. And that's what he said, like, even with the test, he got a test. You just got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever happens, happens. You have to have that attitude, but you have to be, that's where it goes back to confidence. It's not like, maybe it didn't happen this time, maybe I didn't see it this time, but next time.
Yeah, I feel like just from all of this, a lot of what you guys share is that level of need of confidence. Yes. So for Chris, just message factors out there, how could they build their confidence up? And like I said, I'll be honest with you, we get intimidated. Your first meeting with an agent or manager, you feel like this is it. I had episodes on before, and it just showed that, like, all right, this is, you guys are doing your job, but what message would you give for actors to build their confidence up so they can show who they really are? I
mean, I guess the first thing is just to wake up and know that, you know, you're alive and you are able to approach this industry. It changes every day.
Yeah.
So I think for me, like I said, I wake up every day and I just think about what can I do new for my business, and then which an actor can do. What can I do new for my acting career? And it might be something as simple as let me follow this cast director online, or let me research the Hollywood Reporter and see what's coming out. Because if you start to do stuff new every day, that accumulates and it helps towards your career. And if your career is blossoming or you're seeing differences within your career, then you feel better. And then not measuring your career against others. I think that's the biggest thing. Any business model. I saw a post that I love. I saved it. It's the red aisle one, which is, you go down the red aisle, you see a million different companies selling bread. But they have little things, like they might have like Bible scriptures on it. The bread might be a little bit sweeter. But they're all selling the same thing, bread. So it's like basically you use that as your acting career. You say, okay, my acting career is similar to, say, Michael B. Jordan. Let me watch Michael B. Jordan's films and let me see what I can do different from how he delivers his line.
Right.
And then you just add a bit to it. You just keep adding a bit of value. And then you'll be fine.
Right. So. Cool. And Donnie, for new actors coming from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, coming from Pittsburgh.
And middle of nowhere.
I think the main thing is confidence. You can't get confidence. You can get confidence from other people, but that's not fulfilling. You need to have it within. So if I think I'm good at something and I ask you, you might say yes. He might say no. He might say yes, and then you got 5 different answers, and you can't go nowhere with that. You can go somewhere, but you need to have it within yourself. Right. You need to say, I can do this. Right. I know what I'm capable of. Right. I know I'm capable of being a billionaire. The sky's the limit for me. Right. And then, but if I ask around and I say, hey, Chris, how does this sound? Darius, how does this sound? You're going to get 1,000 different answers. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their own opinion. Yeah. But, like, you can't take one opinion and be like, oh, it's not for serious. That's why I think, like, you can't get confidence from other people.
Yeah.
You have to get it from yourself.
Yeah, and for me, I developed that confidence from knowledge. Yeah. Because I think ignorance and not knowing the industry. Yeah. So, as Chris said, reading the Hollywood Reporter, all of that stuff gives you knowledge. And the more knowledge that you have is the confidence that you get. Not knowing what an agent or a talent manager is, and then knowing what it is, when you get into a room, you know what to expect, as opposed to the unexpected takes away your confidence immediately. Exactly. So for me, when I moved to LA 2 years and a little bit ago, I just started to just read up on everything that I possibly could, learn what a talent manager was, learn what their day is like, learn everything that you could possibly learn, so that when I sent a pitch letter to Chris or to any talent manager, I knew, all right, he's probably going to arrive in his office around this time, not to send it on the weekend when they're out partying, So just the more you teach yourself is the more confidence that you get. So when I step into that room, I'm a little bit more confident. You can see who I am. Even
with Chris, before I went into Chris's office, I did all the research possible. I looked at his articles, and he gave all these tips. Because Chris, if you guys are listening to actors, Chris has blogs out there that are so beneficial, tips that you need to go into a room with.
To Chris's blogs, please. So I read his blogs too.
They're so beneficial. So I was reading his blogs.
You have one Backstage or something?
Yeah, I write for Backstage as well.
Shout out to Backstage.
Backstage. I got to write a few more. They hit me up. But, I originally started writing those articles because I got tired of writing the same thing over and over again. Like, I literally would have to, copy and paste. And so what I did was I was like, I'm going to start a blog. So I wrote one. This was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I put it on LinkedIn. And next 2 days, it had over 10,000 views. So I was like, okay, this is cool.
You're LinkedIn famous.
Yeah, they start passing around on Twitter. So then I said, I can monetize this, which is what actors need to do, is look at what your resources are, find what you can monetize. So I monetized with Google AdSense, of course, and then now thousands of people come to the site just to read those articles. I've had other managers tell me they share it with their clients. So.
Right, nice. That's probably fulfilling, right?
Very fulfilling. To have people that really trust my advice, and a lot of people that come into the office, they say, "I read that before coming in here, so I get what to ask." So.
That's nice. And again, everybody trying to get knowledge. And thanks to you guys for coming on, because you gave people knowledge on coming from an actor side of it, talent manager side of it. And this together would give you a little bit more confidence into kickstarting your career. So,
and also just, of course, you're gonna have down periods in acting. You're gonna have tons of roles and auditions and coming in, and then you're gonna have dry periods where you don't get much. So it's really about being prepared to being an ultimate artist. Like for him, when he's on downtime of acting, he does fitness and motivation and meditation. So he has programs coming out for that.
So check out Donnie's page. Donnie,
check me out.
We're gonna tag this after. He has a dope Insta page, fitness, meditation. What else?
Trying to provide value for you guys. I think meditation is really important for actors because it practices mindfulness, and that's the main thing. Being in control of your emotions, and your breaths control your emotion.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah. Perfect, guys. This is dope.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, really excited. Really excited.
Yeah, like I like. Wow, what a great episode. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Donnie. You can find Chris on CGEM Talent on Instagram, and Donnie, it's Donnie Payne on Instagram. Donnie has his whole workout regime, meditation vibes going on, and Chris has all his bookings and all the actors that he signed and everything like that on his page. So this was a great episode. I hope you learned a lot about confidence, having confidence in going into what you're doing next, any business venture, any audition, any meeting. Have confidence, stand up straight, stand up tall, because only through confidence we can really display our true skills in life. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This was 1000 Failures, and if you could just rate it on your podcast app below and just share it with all your friends who are actors or business people and really need to hear this message. Thank you, guys. Episode 10 is coming next week. Bye.